we're doing it making trading easy is we wanted to get to a trade that was like a 45-minute trade because it allows it to come up more times than a 2 hour trade, right? So
Okay.
like when we posted the Solana trade, you got in on that one.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you do on that one?
I made $1,000 on that one.
Yeah. And what percent did you close out at?
I closed out at 60%.
Yeah. So that was the and how much did you put in?
And I had I think I had 350, about $400 in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think I didn't have a whole lot though, but I mean I didn't have a little either. I don't remember
Right.
exactly how much I had in there, but I know I closed out $1,000 and I hadn't put any money in that account in a while.
Yeah. And so that's what we were trying to because the thing about it was when we were going back and forth on, because making trading easy, we want to get to where it's a very simple plug and play, right? Meaning that anyone can come in and everyone's doing the same trade, like hunting the same style. So that way it's like everyone knows what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And the only difference is that your strategy based on how you like to trade would be the only difference of how you execute the trade. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And what we realized was, and normally, and this is why I try to tell people, it's like, when they start off, if you paper trade, then you don't have any skin in the game, and then when you put money in, you get nervous, right?
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of the people were doing is that they were closing and then re-entering and closing and re-entering, and it's like, hey, listen, if you have to get in you gotta. The very first thing is the 10 trades. Like, hey, we're going to do 10 trades, and it's okay if we lose 3 of them, but it's not designed to go in and out 6 times on 5 of them. You know what I mean? It's designed to either take the win or take the loss, and it's just the way it is. You know, and if you're making a trade where you're panicking, then you don't have a strategy that you believe in,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
you're just costing yourself in the long run with
Yeah.
fees. So I was like, all right, so what's the thing about, that's why we normally start off when we say, hey, put $50 in, use 100. If you lose 30% on 100, it's only $30,
Right.
right? And if you do it 10 times over, you'll see that at the end of 10, 7 of them went for 60, and 3 of them, if you didn't change any stop losses or move them as it went up, you lost 30. But at the end of the day, two winning trades takes care of all your losses and fees and gives you 5 60% trades. So if you're doing, $100, that's 60 times, five. That's a $300 take home on a 10 trade, week. So
Yeah.
so technically your $100 is turned into 300. So you're up
Right.
200%. But they don't um, they don't know how to follow that step. You know what I mean? So then I was like, okay, so maybe what happens is people start off and they'll do like $20, $20, $20 instead of the 100, and then they'll see the wins, and then all of a sudden they'll do 300. It's a lot of difference when you put in $20 and you're down 20%. It's only $2.
Right.
But if you put 100 in and you're down 20, you panic.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're closing trades that you're not supposed to close, and then they jump, and then you get in because they jumped, and then they pull back because you keep buying the top. Right? So I'm like, all right, maybe the problem is maybe we should just eliminate the small trade and just say, hey, the trades are 3, 5, and 1,000,
Okay.
because you got to get to where when you do win, you have to, that's the thing is sometimes we come across where they'll do 4, 5, 6 good trades in a row and win, and then they'll put all the money in, and it happens to be one of the trades that goes the other direction.
Right.
But if you're only winning, 20, $30 or $20, or that's $50, you're only winning $10 each trade. 5 wins only gives you 50. Then you go for three.
Right.
Then you go for 100. You're down $30 on the one bad trade. It's like you're giving all the profits back, and then you panic.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like using the. You have to have the same size bag every single time, and you have to calculate the loss side, right? So that's why I was like, okay, so how do we get to where we can do a $500 trade and say, okay, the goal is to do $1,000 trade, which means the leverage has to be around 60% and below, right? Because you're only allowed so much money when you do a leverage trade. I don't know if people know that, but a lot of times it's like I do 80x, 100x. I'm only allowed $600 to $700 or $800 per trade because my leverage is giving me $80,000. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I think I did like a 60 when I did that Solana trade. I think I did like a 60 or 70x.
Yeah, 71x. Yeah, and it was like because they cut you off. They don't let you they don't let you they don't let you leverage 10 million.
Right.
Yeah, they cut you off. Yeah. They don't want to see it, because you hit it for 100%. That's a little bit of cash, but so it's like a leverage number that you can only go up. So if you're doing $1,000, then your leverage has to be something like I think it's 60% and below, right? And I'll test it this week, and I'll get the numbers so that we have exact. Because I know that when I'm maxing out, sometimes I'll put 2,000-3,000 in, but it only takes 800. And then I have to buy again, and it takes like $30, and I keep buying until it maxes out, and it starts giving me like $2 every time I try to buy 1,000. But and it's like, so there's a max in there. But what I was thinking was, I think what happens is the guys, they go out, and it's like the wins don't cover their losses because their wins are so small. And it's like, guys, you can't go in and do 7, 8, 10 wins in a row with $20 and then bet 300 and take a 30% loss and be like, I lost all my money. Well, if you would have been doing $300 on the 7 wins, then the one loss wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
You're shooting yourself in the foot every time.
Yeah.
So that's why
that's the problem.
that's the problem. So that's where I'm trying to say, okay, well, maybe the problem is that we just need to stop implementing the small money trade. Like the trade has to be $100, $300 minimum if you're learning, and if you're once you got a strategy down, you got to do the $300, $500, and $800 trade. Because when you win, you have to have those gains. Because you're going to lose one of those trades.
Absolutely.
So you have to have that. You got to be able to have the strategy. So that's where I'm getting now is like breaking down the daily, which allows us to do, let's say, like a $1,000 or $2,000 trade on a 30 or 40x or even a 10x, because we can get 10% per move. So if we're getting 10 to 20% per move, and we're doing $2,000 to $3,000 at 10x. I mean, we're still taking in 100 to 200% profit. So you can get 1,000 or 2,000 on one trade, and it doesn't move as much in the negative side because it's only a 10x leverage. So it kind of calms you down to where you're like, chipping away. And then as you start to see on the second wave, and you'll see this on the daily, the videos I got coming out, you can advance yourself and be like, oh, I can do a 30 or 40x on the second move because I have a support, a strong actual support, and I have a target. So now I can say, okay, my target is 10%. So if I do a 40x here, I can go ahead and get 400% out of this.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing now, is trying to break this down, because I want to get to where we have a very specific trade that everyone who walks in the door can do.
Oh, okay.
And that way it's plug and play. It's like, all right, everyone, we're doing this trade. And then those who are like doing that trade and they're like, okay, I want to make this something where I can do 3-4 trades a day because this is becoming my life. Well, then that's a different, that's a different program where you move up to that's why I put in the boot camps and I put in all those other things so that we separate the strategies from the chat, because that's why I started posting. I said, you know what, I'm only going to post on the student trade, because when I post other entries, it creates other trades that we do, and you guys are, sometimes you can get confused if we're doing a 30-minute trade, right? Like the 30-minute rule I put in there so that way it puts you at a level that no matter what trade you're trying to put together in your own brain, if you use the 30-minute rule, it protects you and makes sure you have enough volume no matter what to make your trade valuable. So it's like a safety, it's like, training wheel rule. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing now, is because I want to get to where everyone's doing one particular type of long position student trade, and then executing on strategies like having a 4-hour strategy trade, a 2-hour strategy trade, but they're all within the system of the daily trade.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Separating the thing, because the system is knowing when knowing what the coin is going to do, or putting yourself in a position where that longs are the strongest possibility at this current time, right? So once you understand the system of where we're going to have a big wave 1, a pullback, wave 3, now that you understand that, you can work on a strategy, which would be a 4-hour trade strategy, a 2-hour trade strategy, or a 1-hour or 45-minute. So now you have 3 trades that you can do within that system of the daily trade. You see what I'm saying? And that allows you to compartmentalization the trades so that you're not like jumping back and forth and not understanding what trades you're doing. You know what I mean? Because once a trade is done, it's done. Like for instance, the best trade to catch is always the floor trade, or the wave 1, right? Because when wave 1 breaks out, it normally is the breakout, and then there's a pullback, right? Now wave 3 is supposed to be the biggest wave, but depending on what time frame that is, it could go shorter, longer, and it's less. The wave 3 is less. It hits less on lower time frames because the volume is different. Like when you break down time frames, if you're looking at a 15-minute, you're not going to get a lot of wave 3s because the volume is actually too low to create the full wave 1. So if you took the same trade and you looked at it on a 15-minute and then looked at it on a 2-hour, you'd realize that what you were doing is inside of the real wave 1 on a daily chart, there was actually 15 wave 1s on the 15-minute.
Oh, okay,
yeah. Because it's just like having a daily of 24-hour candle, but you're looking at a 15-minute candle. There's at the end of the day, there's literally 40 of those candles in that daily. And that's where people get confused, you know what I mean? Because you got a 24-hour candle, and you're working on and you're looking at a 24-hour candle. There's 6 15-minute candles in between there.
Right.
So I mean, there's like 115 minutes on there, And when you look at it, if you're looking at the daily 1 wave pullback and wave 2 and 3. It covers 3-4 hours. When the 15-minute is doing smaller waves, and it's not always going to be at the same. It's not always going to give you the same data.
Okay, right.
You see what I'm saying? Because if you look at a daily wave, and we do a wave 1 and a pullback, during that 24-hour candle that creates a wave 1, we might have, let's say, 4 candles that create wave 1. right? 4 daily candles. Well, in reality, there was 96 15 minutes on those each of those candles. So if we had 4 of those candles create wave 1, that's 384 15-minute candles. So during this wave 1 that it was building up its momentum, you could have seen 384 15-minute candles that could have created at least, you say let's 3 of those candles up, or let's say 4 of those up, and 4, 2 down. That creates 96 wave 1s possibilities.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at different time frames, you have to realize that lower time frames are giving you increments of momentum. It's not like the strongest. That's why we focus on 45 minutes, because that gives you enough data to see where there's actual momentum.
Okay.
And that's what I'm breaking down now. That's why I'm starting with the daily to kind of show you that what the real 1 hour, 2 hour, and 3. Because I'm a big 1, 2, 3 move, right? That's why you guys always hear me say we need a 1, 2, 3 step, because waves 4 and 5, or because you have big wave 3, you have 4, 5, and 6. Those waves, most of the time are just like consolidation waves, and then it goes into a ABC correction, right? Which basically means the money's gone, it's exhausted. Now we're at what's going to happen, how many people will sell, are they going to sell, is there, you know what I mean? So when you get to the Elliott waves, once you get past wave 3, 4, 5, the 4 pullback doesn't really, you never know, and wave 5 could either be a huge one because of FOMO, or it could be a half of one, depending on how much money's left. And then, the ABC correction is basically where it goes sideways, and it decides if people are going to stay in the FOMO, or there's enough people that made money and they sell. So those waves and that end result is kind of like, that's why we only use the money. That's why we only use the moon tracker, because it doesn't really matter where we're at after the waves. After wave 3, it just comes down to money. And the majority of the time they're going to take profit. You know what I mean?
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna look at you. You say you're gonna post some new videos. I know it's some on there I have to watch already, but you posting some today too?
Yeah. That's why I wanted to because a lot of times I seen you. You like the shorts.
Yeah, I love the shorts.
Yeah, the shorts are great. I love the shorts. And the
but
shorts.
I'm not prejudiced against long
Yeah.
either, but I just do better with shorts, I guess.
Yeah, because the shorts. When you look at it, it's here. The one thing that when you look at a long have to have a lot of things happen, right? There has to be like some type of momentum, some type of news article, some type of sentiment, there's a lot of things that go into making a long, right? That's why we don't really care. We just look at the volume, and when the money shows up, we know that we're in the position. I don't need to know what news article or who's talking or who said what, and it doesn't really matter. All I need to know is their money, right? Now the thing, and then once that happens, you have to say, okay, we got a long, we got to pull back, we got to push. We never know how much that's going to be, because at the end of the day, there's only so much money in crypto. Now, once all that happens, the thing that we know is that once you get to the exhaustedness of the money and you get to a double top, the reason why shorts are so much better is because we know where it started, we know how much money was put in, and we know that everyone wants profit.
Right.
So profits are more reliable than people holding. Like, everyone's going to sell for profit versus holding for, hodling, because we're in a game of trading. So when profits are met, the one thing that's guaranteed is people are going to take profits.
Right.
That's why I spent my whole career shorting, is because I don't have to. This is what I used to say. I used to sit around and be like, guys, all I wait for is a coin to pump. Okay, when you guys tell me what's pumping, I wait until the money disappears, and then I short it.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to wonder if this coin is going to go down, I know it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's already pumped up. It has to go down.
It has to go.
That has to go down,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, for a long, you gotta you gotta have a lot of things to make a coin go up.
Yeah, you gotta have the momentum. You gotta have the volume. You know, everything has to be like in the right.
And you have no idea how much money people are gonna put in.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the end of the day, once you pump the coin up, I know one thing. I know it's coming back 50%.
Yes, it's coming back down.
That's why, I mean, I love shorting because it's like, it's guaranteed money. No coin ever holds its position because there's no product. There's no residual income. The only thing it is people bought low and they got to sell high because they know once the money goes away, they have to take profit.
Yeah.
So much easier. It's like sitting around waiting for things to pump and then perfect and be like, all right, I'm going to short. Because that's the best thing to do. Because paper hands are a lot stronger than diamond hands. And that's where people don't understand. Paper hands will sell way faster than diamond hands will hold, believe me. And that's the best part.
Yeah.
So that's why, you have to have certain things if you're going to go long. That's why I say I'm going to show the daily chart and then break down in a daily, like, hey, so when you're seeing these lower charts, you have to realize you're dealing with lower money, which means it's going to do half of what it's supposed to do, right? You have to allow the momentum to build up to where it makes sense that the market makers will say, okay, there's money here, So it's just the understanding the overall, the real trades that are out there. The daily trades are the trades that, big money moves on. That's why sometimes when you're running Fibonacci's and you're like, oh, we got a Fibonacci line and it breaks 3 more down. That's why I say go with the greediest entry. Because a lot of times the greediest entry is where the big money's sitting. Because it's the concept of understanding of, and I'm gonna do a series on this of how to improve just by, being greedy on entries. Don't be greedy on trying to hope a coin goes higher when there's no money. Be greedy on the entry.
Right.
So I'm gonna do a video on greedy entries, because if you did greedy entries, even if you missed, you say you had 10 trades you wanted to do, and you got super greedy on the entry, and 5 of the trades didn't hit because your entry was so greedy. In your mind, a lot of times the trader develops the thought that I missed those trades, because the trades do go long, right? But what they don't realize is that half the trades they missed actually went down even further. So when at the end of the day, you would have lost more money in stop losses than you would have made in longs. But when you do hit those 5 greedy ones, think about it, like say you're at a Fibonacci line and the next 2 lines down are like 3%. If you're doing a 60% trade, that's 120% gains. Minimum, 120 to 200, 180%. So if you do hit your lower entry, that already gives you, instead of you going negative in a stop loss, that already gave you an extra 120% in gains when it bounces.
Right.
You see?
Yeah.
So that's why, so I was going to try to explain that, and I was like, that's why I kind of slowed down on the chat, and I only started doing the student trade, because if we're teaching all these techniques in an open trade, then I'm back to teaching the academy, right? And now we got a bunch of traders that are trying to figure out trading in a complete circle, from top to bottom, when you don't need to do that. What you need is, where can I put $2,000 and do one trade twice a week and make $1,000 bucks?
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because what this comes down to is the money. if you can make 1,000 or 2,000 a week, and you only do 2 trades, then you realize that you don't have to. You're not missing anything.
Right.
You don't have to over trade.
Mm-hmm.
You can master that trade, right?
Yeah.
So that's
that. I like that idea.
Yeah, that's why we're trying. I mean, you're doing well because you're shorting, you're jumping. I mean, the one thing is that once you master shorting, you realize when it's going to go long, because you realize that all the sellers are gone.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way. That's the thing that we have to like. That's when you master shorting, it becomes a great game, because it's like once you realize it's exhausted and there's no more sales, you're at the bottom. Now you can start. Yeah, you can start going to the other way.
Yeah, I can go the other way.
Yeah. It's easier that way.
Yeah, and I made it all the way to the bottom, so I'm like a nice greedy entry,
Right.
All the way at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of shorting, and this is where I'm trying to like, when you're making trading easy, we just need to have a very simple, buy zone that goes long during the daily, and then a short zone that we know that we're shorting during the daily, and then within those patterns, finding the 4 hour, the 2 hour, and the 45 minute, where people can maneuver, and each of those strategies are different because they each also come with a different leverage.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's where we're trying to break down is, okay, here's the system. It's a daily system. Here are the strategies that go in the system. So that's where you have to execute differently. And that's where we're going to finish out. So I'm going to do I did a big 2.5 hour live the other day where I was just kind of going over the daily, and then, because I want to like walk through all the different ideals of how people trade, and I got some, and the most consistent ways to enter, like normally on a daily, once you have one green candle on the daily, you normally go to the middle of that candle, and that becomes your entry, whatever that price is in the middle of the daily. That's your entry line. Then another entry is people, and this is what most people like to do, it's called the 3 candle entry. This is where you see something break support and come down, and then when you see like a bull flag or a pennant, it comes down, and then once it breaks the pennant, you see 3 green candles in a row. Then that is a sign of a reversal, a positive reversal, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So once you understand what most people want to do when they're trading, then you can evaluate those type of entries, and then put them together against the money and say, okay, well, where's the money at here? And then you can use that and say, okay, well, here's what most people are going to enter. Once that money turns the way I want it, then I can take my entry, right? And I was explaining to people, if we take the limit guess and say, okay, this is a good entry based on this philosophy, you have to put a certain leverage, right? Because it's not guaranteed. It's not something that we can count on. A system has to be something that has a law of average, meaning that when we see it happen, a certain amount, it's like flipping a coin. How many times out of 10 will this systematic system give us the same result? Is it 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10? Right? We need to know what the system is going to pay us. And then, based on that, we can mathematically put our risk versus reward. Right? And that's where we can decide how much leverage we can use to make up for the risk that we could lose. Right? So I was showing people that if we enter on the daily candle, if you enter on the 3 pattern or a bull flag, right, at the end of the day, you have to enter leverages that are, 10 to 20%, 20% on that lower side. But if I'm just patient and I allow the money to show up, right, which gives me a higher law of average of winning percentage, right? This will happen 8 out of 10 times versus 6 out of 10. Now the difference is by allowing that 1 or 2% to disappear while I'm waiting to be safe, that just means I, instead of having a 20x leverage, I can go 40. So what happens is the 10% guy makes 300% gains, the 20% guy makes 570, but me being patient and waiting for the money to show up, I make 720. Because I can go higher leverage because I don't have volatility.
Right.
But you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
But that's why we have different like master classes, right? That's why for you, you're in the $1,000 course. This is where sitting down and teaching you these philosophies are part of what you're taking. But the Discord, the Making Trading Easy, it needs to be where we're talking about, you know, one system, 3 strategies.
Yeah.
And not getting into too much thinking. You just execute when something happens. This happens, I buy. This happens, I buy. This is the leverage that I buy. That way it's all the same. One system, 3 strategies. Right?
Yeah.
The rest of it...
I'm going to look at those videos.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at the videos tonight when I get some time.
Yeah, you're good because I'm about to redo the daily right now. And I'm going to go through 2 dailies and put them together. Because I'm going to change it to a daily system, and that'll explain how people can look at something and like understand what we're talking about when we say 1, 2, and 3, right? That way they're not like, you know, it's like looking at a bull flag or a bull pennant. Most people think they can look at it and go, oh, that's a bull pennant, when it's like, nah, that doesn't have it doesn't register because it's missing this part, right? That's why you can't use patterns because patterns don't work. Their win rate is 50%. So 5 out of 10 times it'll do what it's supposed to do. But what it doesn't tell you when you have the 5 out of 10 is that how many of those 5 winning trades actually went down so far that you would have got stop lossed out anyways before it went up.
Yeah.
So that's why, you know, I'm trying to put a series together explaining, you know, why all the patterns and all these things that people are doing fail, and you have to have a systematic, very simple system. And the simplest system in the world is follow the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Because nothing goes up without money, and it goes down when the money's gone.
Yeah.
That's,
well,
you know.
Get ready for work, so
what do you think?
Take a look at those videos. Whatever you post tonight, I will get a
yeah, I'm gonna put them in the.
And then I'm back trading tomorrow.
I'm gonna put the as soon as I finish them today, I'm gonna put them in the chat, and then I'll put them in the student folders, and then I'm gonna create what we just kind of talked about. I'm gonna go over how to master, you know, the little tricks, you know, learning to be the greediest entry, and just cleaning up just giving you a thought of like how to realize there's more money by being patient than there is by rushing, and then to give you those little philosophies so that way while you're doing all the trades you can start to see why and how to, you know, increase leverage, right? Because that's really where the money is. The money is where everyone else is doing 20x, you can do a 60x because you have different ideology and you see the difference in it, and that'll always, you know, give you a 300% higher return than everyone else because they're doing a simple plug and play.
Right. Okay.
All right. Have a good day. I look forward to that. I just wanted to check on you because
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. yeah. I mean, you know, because it's you know, this is the first beginning of when you're creating the system. You know, it's like you got so many different people, and you have to like figure out where are they not understanding, because we need to say the same thing and make the same trade.
Yes.
So that way it's very simple, and then once we have that out there, then we can go. So you'll see. We'll reset the Making Trading Easy setup today. We'll finish our dailies, and then we'll go through strategies. So system, then strategies.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for checking on me.
Of course. Have a good day.
All right, you too.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.